Okay, I'm going to bring the Milton Planning Board meeting of August 20th, 2019 to order at 6:36. First on the agenda is public comment. This is a point in the meeting where anybody that has a comment about something other than on the proposed agenda may speak. Not hearing any, I'm going to close public comment and open the public hearing for the proposed lot line adjustments, adjusting the boundary lines between map 23, lot 76-2, map 23, lot 76-1, and map 23, lot 76-3, all at 240 Bowling Road, Milton, resulting in increase to map 23, lot 76-1, and map 23, lot 76-3 by 1.15 acre, eliminating map 23, lots 76-2. Deborah and Anthony Caputo III, applicant, 240 Bowling Road, New Hampshire. Charlie.
Hi, I'm Charlie Koch. I'm here from Norway Plains representing Mr. and Mrs. Caputo. I can give you a real quick rundown. These are the three lots as they used to be. It's outlined in green. Ready? This is what we want to do, make them two. This lot here will need a variance now to be built upon, but it would anyways. Even if we didn't do this, it'd still need the variance. So this lot has a septic and well. That's it. That's all we want to do.
Okay.
Make three and a two.
Any questions?
Make two and a three.
No, just a second. We'll get board first, now we'll get to you, okay?
Is there any intention to build upon that lot?
Not that I know of, not at this time.
Any others?
Yep.
I'll open it to the public.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Your point was that no greater, I just lost the phrase.
Non-conformity?
No greater thank you. No greater non-conformity is being created, and the variance already exists for the use of that lot as it is.
No.
You would have to be
There's
requesting
no
it.
variance.
No
If
variance.
somebody wants to build on it, they'll need to seek a variance.
Anybody else?
What's the size of that second lot?
This one?
The one that we were just talking about building on and on?
The new area is 0.46 acres. The old area is 0.33.
Okay, and the other lot?
This one here,
Yeah,
0.3.
0.3?
Yeah.
That's kind of small, isn't it?
Well, I can't help it. That's the way it works.
Building a spaghetti ranch.
We can do a taking.
6 by 6 straight up, right?
There you go. Any more questions or comments from the board? Not hearing or seeing any, I'll open it to the public. Sir.
Just got a quick question. I'm
Sorry,
bordering-
name.
I'm sorry. I'm Mark McClintock. I live right next door to
Okay.
the Caputos.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, so is there any encroachment? I haven't seen any drawings or anything.
No encroachments.
This is me, this is 234. Yeah, that's me. And how are they gaining 0.15 acres out of combining lots? Where's the
There
extra
was,
land coming
there
from?
was originally, there were three lots.
Yep.
And at one point, the town did an involuntary merger, merged them into one. We did the form to put them back the way they were.
Okay.
And now, so there was three. That's where they stand right now today.
Sure, yeah.
And now we just want to do two. So we're taking these two and just kind of rearranging the
Right.
areas to give us some.
And that's going to gain them 1.5 or 0.15 acres?
The new area was 0.46. The old area was 0.33.
Right, but they've got, if you flip it over again, I'm sorry, I just want to ask this question. They've got a specified area right here. That's all their land, right?
And
then
three
you're
separate
just-
lots.
Yeah, and you're just moving these lines.
Yep.
You're eliminating one and moving, kind of splitting
Right.
it in half.
Right.
How are they getting 0.15 acres out of that? Where's that extra land coming from?
There's no extra land.
You said it would increase, did I hear that wrong?
Correct, but that center lot, they're taking 1.5 out of that and giving it to one, and the remainder goes to the other lot. So it's two lots, not to three.
1 pound of cheese in 2 slices instead of 3 slices.
Yeah, but there's no change in land.
No,
Okay, that was my only question.
no, the original perimeter
I read something
stays the
that,
same,
it was one lot is increased by 0.15.
.15, yeah.
Gotcha, okay. All right, and no encroachment.
Nope.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's it.
Any more questions or comments from the public? Okay, not hearing any, I'm gonna read a letter that was sent to us by an abutter, Leslie J. Howlett and Linda T. Howlett. To the chairman and members of the Milton Planning Board, thank you for your public notice and opportunity as an abutter to the subject land reference map 23 lot 36 to present my questions and observations concerning the proposed dimensional changes and the underlying supposition that there are 3 sublots which comprise the land in total. As I could not be in attendance at the hearing due to a pre-scheduled conflict out of state, I have submitted the following for your review. Let me state for the record that I strongly support all property owners' rights to put the property at its highest and best use, subject to the approved regulations and ordinances of the town of Milton and the state of New Hampshire. Based upon my review of public records in the Land Use Office on Friday, August 16, 2019, I request the board's consideration and clarification of the following. Point of fact, low-density residential. The property is located in LDR, low-density residential zone requiring a minimum lot size of 2 acres. See ordinance section 3.2 also specifies note 1 and 2 in the table of dimensional requirements. As the total lot size of map 23 lot 76 is 0.87 acres, the subject lot is in definition non-conforming lot. Zoning ordinance article 7 non-conforming uses in lots is specifically item C4, which states adjacent non-conforming lots under the same ownership may be merged to create a new and larger non-conforming lot, providing the merger does not create any new non-conformity other than lot size, which it's doing. Observations, town records. There is no indication in any public record available, nor are there any affirmations of the existence of 3 non-conforming sublots by the assessor at the time of the sale of the Caputos in 2009. The only historic reference observed in the town records were plot maps which appear to be dated 1960 plus, showing lots 21, 22, and 23 as compromising the original Wolfsburg plan of lots in the Land Use Office. This appears to be drawn in advance of the original seasonal camp being constructed on the land in 1961, at which time the lots were apparently combined as allowed and noted in the ordinance Article C4, Article 7C4, to form a single non-conforming lot, now referenced as map 23 lot 76. Based upon a review of town records as far back as 2009, in quotation, and beyond, when the Caputos acquired the property, lot 76 had been reported and assessed as a single non-conforming lot consisting of 0.5 acre base rating lot of 2017 and 0.3 acres of excess land with 300 lineal feet of waterfront. There is no indication from the available land use records that the subject lot 76 consists of 3 sublots, which purportedly each will be pre-existing non-conforming buildable lots, worth a substantial amount more in terms of taxable real estate to the town over the past decade plus ownership, if true. On the contrary, the assessor's description and assessment practices, which are typically based on deeds of record to validate plot descriptions, would seem to affirm that there is 1 now non-conforming lot totaling 0.87 acres having 320 lineal feet of water frontage, perhaps originally made up of 3 contiguous non-conforming lots which have long since combined. As further evidence of lot 76 being considered as one parcel, I noted that the property being waterfront is also covered by the Shoreline Protection District, zoning ordinance article 17, which establishes standards for the subdivision and use and development of shoreline adjacent to public water as defined herein with the purpose of minimizing degradation of shoreline and assuring retention of the benefits provided by such shoreline. Observations, DES permit request. In the town records relating to the Shoreline Protection Overlay District, requirements is an application made by Virginia Wolfsburg, prior owner to the Caputos, to the New Hampshire Department of the Environmental Service, requesting a permit for the installation and replacement of a seasonal dock, within which she clearly and appropriately describes the property as map 23 lot 76, consisting of 0.87 acres with 320 lineal feet of waterfront. She notes in the description that this will be the only dock on the waterfront. She includes a very clear exhibit depicting map 23, lot 76 as a single non-conforming lot with a hand-drawn location of the proposed dock. In addition to the above observation, I have other concerns regarding the riparian rights and impact and buffer zone requirements around the small stream that cuts through the southern half of the lot and empties into northeast pond. However, these observations are best suited for an additional hearing and future reviews. Conclusion. While I can certainly understand the applicant's desire to assess the subject lot can be subdivided for economic gains, I think it is a demonstrable history of assessment practices and actions on the part of the prior owners that have represented lot 76 as a single, non-conforming lot having 0.8 acres and 320 feet of linear waterfront, which should not be made more non-conforming by allowing further subdivision of the approved petition. I appreciate the board's consideration and in response to my observations. If I have any additional documents or minutes put into record as part of this hearing, I would appreciate being copied and afford the opportunity to inspect and respond respectively. Leslie J. Howell III. And now I'm going to read in the planner's comments. I assume this will, at the very least, be given to each planning board member and/or read into the record. It does deserve an answer, however. First, the 2-acre, 200-foot lot requirement in the LDR zone district is only when they create new lots by subdivision. It does not apply to lots of record that have been existing prior to the inception of zoning or subsequent amendments thereto. Second, since the plat the board is reviewing is prepared by a licensed land surveyor and with his or her stamp affixed, there is both deed and plan references thereof. The board must acknowledge that the 3 old lots are still in existence, whether the town has record or not, whether the town taxes the lots in common ownership with one tax bill do not matter. The registry of deeds is the only place to go for official land records, and the taxation situation cannot be determine legal lots of record. Finally, it is the right of the owner to adjust the lot lines on commonly owned parcels if the effect is to reduce zoning nonconformities to the aggregate. If this is not the case here, staff would have required that the applicant first obtain a variance from the ZBA. And it is not the case, simply because the owner is replacing 3 lots, 2 of which would be developable with future ZBA relief. With the 2 larger lots, one which will be able to develop with future ZBA relief. I can let the members know that this meeting, you can send this along with a letter to the members so they may process and make up their minds. Bruce Woodruff.
Yeah, there's an additional, there's another thing that the author of the letter brought up, and that is the non-conforming section in the zoning ordinance, Article 7, non-conforming uses and lots. Item C4 does say, and it has been changed, by the way, it says that adjacent non-conforming lots under the same ownership may be merged to create a new larger non-conforming lot, provided the merger does not create any new non-conformity other than lot size. Now, first of all, it uses the verb may and not shall, because that was made illegal 6 or 7 years ago with the general court adding a new RSA 676-39 AA, which made involuntary mergers by municipalities not legal. And that's been done all throughout New Hampshire. So they gave a 5 or 6 year period for people to come forward and say, hey, listen, I don't want to have my lot shown as 1 lot. I really have 3 lots of record, and they have development rights, or they don't, whatever happens. And so the point here is that the word may was added instead of shall. It had been shall in the past before 676-39 AA was brought in to make involuntary mergers by towns and cities illegal. And the people have a right to have their lots of record be their lots of record. And this is a case where that's what we see here.
Any comments or questions from the board?
Yes. that I happen to have been there in Concord when this particular issue first came up on the involuntary merger. And my understanding at the moment is that this is an application within the purview of the board, that the application asks only for the lot line adjustment, and that Charlie Karcher has stated that that is the issue before us. The outcome is subject to a proper survey, the historical record, town assessment, and further adjudication by court of competent jurisdiction. The town retains the capacity to act in any manner that it sees fit based on the record as it develops, whatever rights remain to the town. And an objector may appeal any decision to pursue their interests in court. That's how we looked at it in Concord, and that's how Bruce has brought it forward now.
Thank you. Anybody else from the board? I'm going to the public for another comment. Somebody like to comment on this? Not hearing any, I'm going to close the public hearing and bring it back to the board. I'll entertain a motion.
Before you do that, Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir?
I do have a recommendation for the planning board, if they do make a motion to approve the lot line adjustment, that you place a condition on the approval that the new deeds be submitted for recording to the land use office so that they may be recorded directly after the plat is recorded. That's just to ensure follow through, that's all.
Thank you. Now, if anybody can remember that, make the motion.
I'll make the motion that we approve the lot line adjustment subject to the planner's comments.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Not hearing any. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Don't be a stranger. Don't be a stranger.
I'm trying to be. I'm retired.
Me too.
No, you.
Neither are you.
Thanks a lot.
Take care, Charlie. Okay, next on the agenda, Eastern Materials, request for release of surety bond for gravel pit number 5, map 17, lot 22, Jones Access Road, Milton, New Hampshire. We have a letter from the Eastern Materials. I'll read into the record. You all have the folders and the pictures. On June 4th, 2013, a 6-year bond was issued for the amount of $22,500 to secure the reclamation of an excavation site referred to us as Site 5, Tax Map Lot 22. This letter is to inform the state obligations under 155-E, semicolon 5, and local excavation regulations, New Hampshire, Milton, New Hampshire, Article 5, Sections A through D, have been performed. On March 4th, 2015, excavation began under the permit AOT-0877 and continued until 2017. Original proposed grades were not accomplished because of the evidence of large clay base upon removal of sand and gravel. Final grades were re-engineered and a copy has been submitted to the planning board. A site walk of the excavation area was performed in June 2018 due to the opening of a new area, excavation area 6. There's been no change in our area 5 and has remained closed since the fall of 2017. To reestablish the natural environment of area, three criteria have been for the forefront of reclamation: stormwater, slopes, and vegetation. All topsoils were returned to the original areas, and after sand and gravel were extracted. A solid clay base has made slopes extremely steep, stable, and safe, and unaffected by rain or snow melt. Stormwater has been continued through the percolation and does not exit reclamation area. Construction seed was immediately introduced after excavation and reclamation to promote quick green growth. Spring seeding of K31 was also performed with necessary and bare spots. All seeding was done by hand and compacted. Soils have not been droughty or thick. Humus has provided excellent vegetation and further tree growth. Area 5 today continues to grow. Trees have begun to grow and evidence of wildlife has been seen. We are confident we have removed the natural resources, sand and gravel, and restored the land in such a way as to promote growth back as an original national state. All criteria has been met, and we're requesting the refund of the $22,500 bond. Pictures are provided. And I think, Bruce, you,
I did.
Yes.
Not this past Friday, but the Friday before. I performed a site assessment of the gravel pits, all of the pits out there, as a matter of fact, with Mike Shea from Eastern Materials. But most importantly, I took a very close look at the reclamation plan and inspected pit 5. And what my inspection revealed was that all aspects of the reclamation plan have been completed. I would say that the board could schedule a site visit. However, my recommendation is to fully release the surety posted for pit 5.
questions or comments from the board? Larry?
I was part of the site walk we took back in the early part of the summer. I'm a semi-abutter, and I also thank Eastern Materials for their community service in providing crushed stone to the Farm Museum, which is our semi-mutual neighbor. I don't think that rises to the level of recusal. I will, however, vote abstain.
Anybody want to make a motion to release the bond?
I'll make a motion to release the bond.
Second.
Discussion? Not hearing any. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstention 1.
Abstention 1.
Some stone there.
Yeah,
Into the dirt.
Pat told me that he was put $6,000 worth of stone in.
Well, it's because it's funded by the federal government.
Stone's not
We
cheap.
gotta open the agenda item.
Yeah, he's got it for
Then I think it's.
all the way around and past my place. You know, it starts to go
You
downhill.
might want to
Stop the
talk,
stone
you don't
there.
have to talk so much.
Oh, you really want to have your Canadian passport out? You go north of 153, north of 155.
I think you could preface it that you're not opening a public hearing.
Right,
You're opening the agenda item.
right.
To talk about what you're gonna do next.
Yep.
Like a flat one-way track. And when you get to the beginning of the hill, there's
Seems tonight I'm going to do a lot of reading. I'm going to open up the continued proposed revised site plan review of Mighty Joe Campground. Three Pond Resorts owner, CFC Engineering Partnership, Inc., applicant 11 Mighty Joe Road, map 28, lot 4. I'm going to read a couple things into the minutes from our attorney, and that's where we'll start. First of all, there is nothing in facts of the case pending in the court system, being an appeal of the ZBA's denial of a special exception to expand the campground with a significant number of new campsites, including additional amenities, that would legally prevent or interfere with the planning board concerning an application for additional amenities only. What the planning board was obliged to do, and to my knowledge did so, was to ask two primary questions. The first was whether, under the terms of Milton zoning ordinance, a special exception was required to expand the amenities. Under the terms of the ordinance, a special exception is not required for expansion of non-conforming use when the expansion proposed is minor, where the nature and the intent of the use is not changed and the expansion does not adversely affect the surrounding areas. As I understand it, the planning board decided that the proposed anemones expansion fell within the exception and did not require a special exception. The decision was appealed to and was now upheld by the ZBA. The second primary question before the planning board was whether the application before the planning board was basically the same as it was been proposed before, which would have prohibited consideration of the Supreme Court decision of Fisher versus Dover. Or it was significantly different. As I understand it, the planning board found it significantly different, and the ZBA also upheld the decision. Therefore, after the rather complex explanation, the simple answer to Ms. Wyer's question is the planning board had the right and obligation to proceed as it did. However, there are two things I should mention. Your email below refers to a hearing tonight. When the administrative appeal was filed from the decision of the planning board to the ZBA, RSA 767:6 imposes a stay on all local proceedings. While the statute does not explicitly explain how long the stay lasts, our interpretation has always been it continues until either the expiration of the 30-day time period for filing a motion for reconsideration, or such as a motion timely filed, until the ZBA's decision is on that motion. Therefore, to our understanding, we are still within the 30-day period for filing such a motion. We do not believe the planning board can proceed with further consideration of this application. Second, and as for clarification only, what I explained earlier in my email to Mr. Woodruff was that the ZBA did not formally address the question of whether the special exception would be necessary for amenities only, not in its decision or on the special exception application, and not in the decision of the early administrative appeal. So, this meeting was going to be tabled tonight and postponed until September.
It's up to the board.
Yeah.
But you have to announce when you are rescheduling the
Right.
public hearing. Otherwise, we would have to re-notify all the abutters.
Right.
Because only 25 days will last.
We were 5 days
There's 5
shy.
days to go before the appeal period is over, before the...
Second or third is the first one in September. Anybody got a calendar? Where'd you go? Everybody's got
September 3rd, according to that.
Tuesday after Labor Day.
September 3rd.
It's either the
Is-
3rd or the 17th that you
Yeah.
want to
What day would you like to?
reschedule the public hearing. Table the
The
application.
3rd would be fine, but periodically, the selectmen have taken our meeting night after a Monday holiday.
So I can speak to that. We
Ah,
adjusted
there
our
we go.
schedule last night and moved the September selectmen meetings to September 9th and September 23rd.
Okay, let's have it on the 9th.
Thanks, Lynn. So what's the board's pleasure?
Let's do the 3rd and get it over with.
Yeah. So
September 3rd at 6:30.
I will,
Before you make that motion, though, I wanted to make sure that you are all square on one additional issue that really is board business. It has nothing to do with the public hearing. In my recollection, when you first did discuss this, when you first discussed accepting jurisdiction of the application, which was subsequently appealed, it's my recollection that you did discuss whether or not there was regional impact, but I don't believe you made a formal determination on that, and that's something that you can do because it's not part of the public hearing.
Correct.
It's board business, and I think that you may want to make that sooner than later. It is up to the board, though. But you can do that now before you table the application and continue the public hearing in a motion.
We did not vote on whether we thought it was regional impact or not.
We
I know
did
we
talk about
discussed it, but we didn't say so it wasn't in the minutes, so. Anybody will make a motion on that? We'll discuss it. Larry?
I believe it is to our advantage to have every T crossed and every I dotted, and there should be a formal and clear record of our action. I will make the motion to declare this an application of a regional impact.
It will have regional impact?
No, I will make the motion to so declare it.
Do I have a second? No, please, refrain. We're not dealing with public right now.
That, let me repeat that. I am making the motion to make sure that we have a clear and open record that all of our obligations as of the planning board have been done with every T crossed and every I dotted. That is a neutral statement.
Okay, so we still don't have a motion on the,
That is my my motion.
anybody want to second that? Not hearing any, the motion fails. Any other motions?
Bruce, do you wish to have the contrary motion on record?
I have nothing to do with the planning.
Okay.
You make your own decision.
In your past experience, have you seen both motions go forward?
No.
Well, is discussion
Yeah.
prior to a motion. We have a statement that, and that this activity, the changes, improvements, if you will, are only applicable to campers. So this is not a public,
Correct.
in that sense, it appears to me that we have not exceeded current use. So I would move that it is not a regional, there is not a regional impact because of that.
We have a motion.
Second.
Discussion on the motion.
I look puzzled.
So, not hearing any.
It brings up the interesting point that if, just to call it, if X activity was considered to have regional impact, and Y, whatever it is added to X, X becomes larger. And if the first activity had a regional impact, it's hard to see how adding to it would not incur the same impact statement.
I think that's backwards.
Okay.
The original concept included expansion. And that part of the concept is gone. The remainder, so this is X minus Y, if we want to do arithmetic.
Mm-hmm.
A more constrained activity, probably not the right word, but the total of activities has been reduced rather than being expanded.
Mm-hmm.
Could you guys speak up a
No.
little bit when you're talking?
No.
I'm sorry.
Oh, speak up?
Yes.
This is about as loud as we can get.
It's hard to hear in the back. Here.
It's hard to hear in the front.
Yes, it is.
Bruce.
I thought I'd help a little bit. I know your discussion isn't done yet, but I'm gonna read you what's in your new draft subdivision regulations. I know the subdivision part of it doesn't apply, but it mirrors what your site plan review regulations say. And this is how you determine the potential for regional impact. Upon receipt of an application for development, the board shall review the application promptly and determine whether the development, if approved, reasonably could be construed as having the potential for regional impact pursuant to RSA 36:54. Doubt concerning regional impact shall be resolved in a determination that the development has the potential for regional impact. A development of regional impact means any proposal which in a determination of the planning board could reasonably be expected to affect a neighboring municipality because of factors such as, but not limited to, the following. A, the relative number of dwelling units as compared to existing stock. Any proposal that involves 50 or more residential lots or units shall be deemed to have the potential for regional impact. B, the relative size of the development. Any proposal that involves 50,000 square feet or more of new non-residential gross floor area shall be deemed to have the potential for regional impact. C, the proximity of the development to the borders of a neighboring community. D, high-intensity traffic impact on regional transportation networks. E, the anticipated emission of excessive light, noise, smoke, odors, or particulates. F, the proximity of the development to aquifers or surface water which transcend municipal boundaries. G, the impact on shared facilities such as schools and solid waste disposal facilities. The board may, in its discretion, determine that any project has the potential for regional impact, whether the project meets or exceeds the criteria listed above or not, and shall then identify the affected municipalities.
Thank you. Any clarifications? Larry?
That, Larry what? That, again, I view it as an additive operation to what exists. If it's additive, it's more. If it adds to something that is presently not as big as it could be, it still makes the something that is bigger than it is. And that was my argument, just whatever the entity is on a bigger when done basis. The categories that Bruce mentioned, the one that caught my ear as I was taking notes is doubt is equated to potential. Doubt is not equated to don't worry about it. Doubt is equated to potential. And so that's my view on that.
Thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a, Bruce?
Mr. Chairman, one final thing, I meant to say it before. During the ZBA appeal, I believe that they were dueling attorneys. They talked about whether or not the zoning board in the appeal had to make that same determination or not. And they went back and forth, but I have the minutes before me. And I just want the board to know that the zoning board has already made this determination, although you can make one too. And here is what the minutes say for that meeting. I'm not going to read the back and forth between dueling attorneys and dueling ideas about what the board should do. The board did what the board did. And it says the Chairman Stan Nato remotions that revision to an existing 2012 site plan that proposes to add accessory uses and to relocate existing trailer storage at the Mighty